to the county board. At Monday night's DeWitt County Land Use Committee meeting, committee member Pat Ryan shared his concerns with the frequency of these solar hearings that have been taking place as applicants have sought siting permits. He points out the 4-hour hearings that took place, the 4 hearings that is, took place in the last 15 days.
I went on a little rant about having these 4 hearings within 15 days. And I don't blame anybody. I didn't push back on it. Didn't even think it was going to be that big of a deal, but it turned out it was, for me to give the thing the kind of review that I would expect of myself reviewing something to say yes or no about.
State's Attorney Dan Markwell warned Ryan if the hearings were not completed in a timely manner, it could open up the county to action from applicants. This is due to a 60-day timer that the county has to complete the hearings due to state statutes.
When I went on my rant, the state's attorney indicated that, well, we may get sued. Okay, I got a feeling that the company would work with us to get the hearing done in a reasonable way and not have 4 of these things shoved at us all at the same time. So I don't know, what are your all's thoughts?
Joe Whitty, board chair, believes the issue should be left up to the state legislature. He says they are following statutes that they are required to, because if they don't, the county could be left vulnerable.
I think this is a issue for the state legislature to take back up, and I know that they may not be taking another pass at it themselves anytime soon, but again, we were following the statute, and I think that's what happens when they have that handed to them. How many page document forced through it, late hours of the night with little review, we're going to get whatever they decide to move through, and it didn't take into consideration that we might have 4 of these hitting us at once, but that's not our language, that's the state statute, so that's where I think we can give our feedback, through our representatives. If they take another pass at this, have them, take our feedback.
But Carter noted solar companies are moving quickly to get applications in to receive federal investment tax credits. This would give them a 30% tax credit if construction begins January 1 of 2033.
And we had the big rush because these companies are running out of time. They're under a time frame to get started and get finished. So hopefully that is going to back off once the time frame can't be met anyway. And on the other hand, and I'm like Patrick, is that I'm here for the district attorney. Well, can't do that, you get sued. So let them sue us. Get a court hearing, it's going to be 30 days down the road. Get a decision from court, it's going to be another 30 days down the road. You just put the meeting on for 6 months. And
the only thing I'm asking, maybe put it off for a month, so we can actually review the documents that were given.
I was on the board when we were sued by the wind company for not issuing building permits. So it just took a little while longer. They got what they wanted. We got installed.
There were no further discussions on the matter as Carter had to adjourn the meeting due to a ZBA hearing that was scheduled to follow the land use meeting. A group of business students is embarking on a program that begins its lessons from day 1. The Central Illinois and Sangamon Valley CEO students in their first week of class must come up with a way to purchase name badges for the entire school year. However, Melanie Brown, facilitator of the Central Illinois CEO chapter, indicates they have to come up with the money on their own.
Basically, the second, third day of class, within that first week, we present with them a problem and they have to solve it. Very entrepreneurial. And the problem is we need badges. So they need to solve that problem. We need badges for them to wear every single day, and they have no money. Mm-hmm. So they're not allowed to tap into their own wallets or mom and dad. We can't use Apple Pay, those types of things. They have to get creative as to how to get the funding for this. In addition to that, they will often, the easy button is to pull up Amazon. We'll just order them from Amazon. Well, is that the best practice? As a small business owner in this area, should you do that or should you shop local? I don't know the answer to that. They need to make those decisions based on cost and efficiency of how quickly they can get the product, that type of thing. So we give them this, and the design is, so it's different in school that 1, we don't meet on school campus, but 2, these are kids coming from multiple schools, and now they are a team together. They've never met. It's just very much like a workplace setting, and they need to get to know each other, figure out each of their separate roles and how they can cohesively achieve a goal. And so it is intended to be a little messy, a little clunky. It also gets them into that critical thinking mindset on their own. And, we give them very little instruction. Here's what you can't do. It's not a fundraiser. It's not your own dollar. Solve this problem.
Yeah.
And then we step back and we just let them kind of stumble through it and ask our, questions. And my students already just look at me and ask me a question. I'm like, well, what do you think? And what do your peers think? And they just kind of roll their eyes like, oh, I just wanted you to tell me the answer. Give me an assignment. Tell me how to do it. Tell me when it's due. And I'll do it exactly that way. And that's not how we roll in CEO. And so we're really setting up that stage too for, I want you to think about your ideas. I want you to bring some suggestions to the table.
That critical thinking.
Yes.
Lisa Shepard facilitates the Sangamon Valley CEO program and explains the name badge program promotes a sense of teamwork, but also valuable lessons in the first weeks of their class getting together.
I think my absolute favorite every single year is the very first response is one of the students will turn directly to the facilitator and be like, can I do this? I'm like, I don't know. Can you talk to your team? That whole that they have to start to figure out how to be responsible for their decisions and their actions and what they want to do next. It takes, I think, 3 or 4 of those times, and then they start to get it, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I have a network of people here that are on my side." I love how they solve it differently every single year, and no matter how they choose to solve it, they're going to learn something from that. And so there's a lot of great things that they learn, whether they choose to solve it through selling something or they choose to solve it through sponsorships. They learn something along the way.
While the CEO class isn't always for that student with a lot of ambition, many are very ambitious, and Brown says it's interesting to watch students realize they're working with people with a lot of drive, just like them.
The other thing that I think is super cool with this first project, is they start to have this aha moment that, okay, in school, when we do group projects, all of these people sitting in CEO are the people who usually lead the group projects. We all want to be the chiefs, and we're used to being the chiefs, and now we all want to be the chiefs, and we have to figure out where everyone has a part and realize we're trying to achieve a goal together, not against each other. There's, it's not a competition within. I love seeing that in their journal entries. They've said, oh, this is a little bit challenging because I see some strong personalities, or I see these people are all natural leaders and I'm typically the one being the leader. So I just think that it's just so many great life lessons that they're learning. And then we're able to reflect on it and apply it in practical ways. So it's so cool.
The Central Illinois CEO program has students from Blue Ridge, Clinton, Maroa, Forsyth, and Warrensburg-Latham high schools, while the Sangamon Valley CEO program has students from Argenta, Oriena, Bement, Cerro Gordo, DeLand Weldon, and Monticello. Visit centralillinoisceo.com or find the Central Illinois CEO chapter on Facebook and Instagram. You can also find the Sangamon Valley CEO chapter on Facebook and Instagram, or at sangamonvalleyceo.com. August was ushered in and out with cooler than normal temperatures, even though it ended up just a few degrees below normal. Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln indicates there were some pretty hot and humid days, though, in the middle of the month.
We started cool. We had 70s for highs, and we finished pretty cool as well. The last 10 days there were below normal. But the middle of the month was packed a punch heat-wise and humidity. The dew points were creeping up near 80 degrees, which is really excessively uncomfortable there. We didn't have a lot of that 110 to 115 heat, but it certainly, I think we had a heat advisory a couple of those days during the state fair. State fair was a hot one. I was working down there 6 of the 11 days, and we had some storms too, in the area, but the average out of the cool start and cool end, it tipped the balance toward below normal by about a degree. Precip wise, we were 0.7 inches below normal there. We had 2.8 inches of rain in the area. So it was, drier than normal and cooler than normal, which I'm pretty sure we didn't have cooler than normal on the August outlook. But, it was just we had that heat wave, but it just wasn't enough to tip us towards the above normal.
According to Shimon, a cool air mass settled in over the Midwest, creating a nice cool stretch that lasted all the way into the start of September.
Yeah, we ended up getting an oscillation of the air masses across Canada, and a cold front just blasted through. We had about 84 hundredths of rain. When that cold front went through on the 19th of August, we did have a few storms. I don't recall severe weather at that point, but we did have some wind damage. I think we had in Maroa. I believe that was when we had the damage to the other than that, it wasn't super intense, and less than an inch of rain is not enough to really, balance it out. But that cool air mass really settled in, and it extended all the way into the first week of August or September here. So we've had literally, almost 3 weeks of every day below normal in terms of temperatures, which is highly unusual this time of year. This is dog days of summer. Of August, you'd think, one brief little period of cool weather, and then it's going to be turn the tides back to heat again. But having 3 straight weeks of cooler than normal days is really unusual.
Shimon points out Springfield saw a couple of record lows for September, but other than that, there were no out-of-the-ordinary temperature to extremes in central Illinois. News time is 19 minutes after 8 o'clock here on this Wednesday. Coverage of news today and sports is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. Sports is next.
Selection for a new Chevrolet is here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Yes, from the Corvettes to the Suburbans and everything to help your family or business, Chevrolet has value options for your needs. This month, see our Silverado trucks in 1500, 2500, and 3500s in gas or diesel. Our Silverados have big savings with more discounts if you trade yours in. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
A sports injury takes the fun out of sports any time of year. Hi, I'm Paul Scarron, CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. All of our PT folks are trained in lots of specialties, just like a bigger facility, to get you back in the game from a sports injury, or if you're in need of any other physical therapy your doctor prescribes. We offer quality, compassionate care close to home, so don't go out of town. Come see us at the Warner Hospital and Health Services Physical Therapy Department, and we'll get you back in the game.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Monticello football coach Cully Welter is taking a page out of the book of one of his peers this week after the Sages 34-7 loss to Tolono Unity Friday night. Coach Welter was overall disappointed with the loss, but felt his team did some positive things.
You're never going to go home happy after a loss, but we knew coming in that we had our backs against the wall, that it was going to be an uphill climb for us. And I really liked the way we came out in the second half and competed. I lost it a little bit at the end because, we kept shooting ourselves in the foot, but, we kept competing, and we get that touchdown. I hadn't said a word all night long to those officials, and that was a good block by Drake Weeks, and just a little frustrated. They earned it. I really think, and we talked about at halftime, if we tackled better, I thought defensively, we were in the right places most of the time. We lined much better this week. We just missed a lot of tackles, particularly in the first half. That got better in the second half, and they're a very good team. Obviously they're gonna make you miss some, but we clean that up. We're gonna be pretty good on that side for sure.
Coach Welter noted his team's struggles to find rhythm offensively on Friday night. Unity's defense is exceptional, returning a lot of starters from last year's state semifinal team. But Coach Welter hopes the timing of his offense will get better as the season moves along.
I felt like we just could never get in a rhythm. We're a rhythm offense, and we just kept getting out of sync. Anytime, we had penalties killed us. Any momentum we seemed to get, we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot. Now, again, credit to their defense. They're very good. We'd like to have gotten the quick passing game going a little bit to open up everything else, but we just couldn't get it going. I think there's a little uncertainty for sure. We had that problem definitely last week. I think we were better this week. But yeah, I can understand what you're saying, that it's part of the rhythm, right? So you're a little out of sync. Not so much that one person zigs and another person zags. But yes, I would agree that the timing is a little bit off right now, and hopefully that will improve. But I will say it is the second week of the season also, which is part of the problem too.
This week, Coach Welter took a page out of the playbook, pun intended, of his colleague and friend, basketball coach Kevin Roy, and says his team is going to focus on themselves for now.
I'm going to conjure up my inner Coach Roy. Like every time I hear him after this, he says, "We're going to work on ourselves. We're going to work on ourselves." Yeah. So shout out to Coach Roy. That we definitely. We're going to continue to try to work on our timing, as you mentioned, on offense and get a little more sharp in our execution.
Monticello visits Rantoul this Friday night. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Tristan Gray, Josh Lowe, and Richie Palacios all hit home runs, and the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Chicago White Sox 5-4 Tuesday night in a game heard here on WHOW.
White Sox returned home after a 7-game road trip in which they picked up 6 wins. Kyle Teal gave the Sox some early juice in the bottom of the first, and the team's return to the south side.
1-0 coming, and he swings. It's a high towering fly, straightaway center field. Mangum at the wall, and he leaps, and he can't get it. It's a home run. Kyle Teal makes it 1-0 in the first.
Teal's blast extended his on-base streak to 18 games. Alas, it wasn't quite enough on Tuesday as the good guys fell to the Rays 5-4. Back in action Tuesday night at Wright Field, I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. with a 6:40 first pitch on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
And the Sox return to the WHOW airwaves after some equipment issues the past several days. You can hear the Sox tonight right here on WHOW. Rookie Cade Horton threw 6 1/3 innings. Pete Crow Armstrong drove in 2, and the Cubs pulled away from the Braves 6-1 for a win Tuesday night. Horton, a leading candidate for the National League Rookie of the Year, allowed a run on 4 hits with no walks. His 2.7 ERA leads all rookies, and 10 wins leads the National League's rookies. He pitched into the 7th inning for the 3rd time this season. Andrew Kitteridge recorded the final 2 outs in the 7th, and Caleb Teelbar and Ben Brown each threw a scoreless inning. Crow Armstrong went 1 for 2, walked, was hit by a pitch, and had 2 steals. Ian Happ was 2 for 5 with a double and a run scored. Matt Shaw hit a 2-run single during a 4-run 8th inning. Crow Armstrong had a sac fly in the first that drove in Michael Bush and an RBI single in the 3rd that scored Happ. Dansby Swanson walked with the bases loaded in the 8th before Shaw's single. Ronald Acuna Jr. scored the lone run for the Braves off an RBI single from Jurickson Profar, Braves starter Spencer Strider gave up 2 runs on 6 hits and struck out 8. Shaw's bases loaded single with 2 outs in the 8th off Connor Siebold broke the game open for the Cubs. Nico Horner and Willie Castro each scored on the hit, and Swanson came home on a fielding error by Nacho Alvarez Jr. to give the Cubs a 6-1 lead. In 10 starts since the All-Star break, Horton has given up just 5 runs in 53 1/3 innings for a .84 ERA in his last 2 starts, both against the Braves. He surrendered a run and 4 hits in 11 1/3 innings. Braves left-hander Chris Sale, who has not given up more than 1 run in his last 8 starts, will pitch the finale of the 3-game series. The Cubs have not announced a starting pitcher. Randy Areza hit a go-ahead 3-run home run in the 3rd inning as part of a 4 RBI night, leading the Mariners to a 5-3 win over the Cardinals Tuesday, closing within a game of the AL West lead. Arozarena hit his 27th homer, 4 more than his previous career high. He turned on a fastball down the middle from Matthew Liberatore, a no-doubter that prompted Arozarena to stunt a pose in the direction of the Mariners' dugout. Then in the 5th, Arozarena added to Seattle's lead with a sac fly in an inning that included Josh Naylor's 19th homer, a solo drive that he followed with an impressive bat flip towards the dugout. Seattle moves within a game of the division leaders Houston and is its closest since mid-August and maintained a 1.5-game lead over Texas for the final AL wildcard spot. St. Louis's Pedro Pajes poked a hard ground ball to the right side of the infield to lead off the 9th inning, but Naylor made a fine play to take a single away. Cardinals right-hander Michael McGreevy and Mariners right-hander Logan Gilbert square off in the series finale today. The Green Bay Packers could be missing a couple of key offensive linemen when they host the Washington Commanders Thursday night. Right tackle Zach Tom and left guard Aaron Banks got hurt in the Packers' 27-13 win over the Lions Sunday. Although the Packers only staged a walkthrough Tuesday, their injury report says neither player would have participated if there had been an actual practice.